Hello, today we're doing 3.4b, which is solving equations with variables on both sides. Very similar to what we did the other day. Today we're just doing a little bit different type of equations. For example, neither of these have distributing. We do have on the same side two terms that are alike. We call those like terms. Oops. So if they're on the same side of our equal sign, we can combine them, add or subtract, whatever we have. But if they're on opposite sides, you have to move them from one side to the other. So right away here, 5a plus 2a, they're all positives, so we have 7a. And then I'm just going to rewrite the rest. So now we have all of our letters together on the same, on the left side here. So now we need to move them from one side to the other. I like to move the one that's smaller, so we keep everything positive. So to move this whole thing, the whole thing is positive, so I'm going to subtract 4a, subtract 4a. Notice I'm putting them right above the other a's because I can't combine an a with just a number. So those eliminate. 7 minus 4 is 3, so we have 3a minus 3 equal to 9. And now we have just a two-step equation. We want a by itself. We want to get rid of adding or subtracting on the same side here, so I'm going to add 3 to get rid of that 3. 3 minus 3 is 0, so we have 3a equal to, now they're all positives, 12. And then last, the opposite of multiply here is divide. Oops, why did I do that? I'm getting ahead of myself. It's actually our answer. Divide by 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So let's take a look at a couple more. This one, almost the same, except be careful, we have a positive 8 and a negative 3b. So if you just read it from left to right, 8b minus 3, or positive 8 and negative 3, there's more positives. There are 5 more, 5b, and then write the rest, plus 11 equal to 2b plus 2. So just like last time, I'm going to move the smaller letters. We have 5b here and 2b. We need to do the opposite of a positive, which would be negative, or subtract 2b. So 5 minus 2 gives me 3b plus 11 equal to 2. And now getting b all by itself, get rid of adding and subtracting on the same side as the letter, so I'm going to subtract 11. 11 minus 11 eliminates. And 2 minus 11, there are more negatives than there are positives, so I know it's going to be a negative. 11 minus 2 is 9. And then last, the opposite of multiplying, because those are touching, is divide. So I'm going to divide by 3. And we get b equal to a negative 9 divided by 3, which is 3. Let's take a look at a couple. These ones, we have the same first step on all of these. Notice there's lots of parentheses. Our first step here would be to distribute. It's always hard to write words with this thing. Distribute. Getting rid of our parentheses. We're really multiplying by both the number on the outside by both numbers on the inside. If you need to draw your box to multiply, you can. 7 minus 2p. 6 times 7 we're multiplying is 42. 6 times a negative 2 is a negative 12, and it's multiplied by p. If you want to draw the box, you can, but otherwise 5 times 3, 3 times 5 is 15p. And then 3 times a negative 4 is a negative 12. So we have 42 minus 12p equal to 15p minus 12. If you notice, we have letters on both sides. We have a negative 12p and a positive 15p. I like to move the smaller one to keep everything positive, so I'm actually going to add 12p, add 12p. 12 minus 12 eliminates, so we have 42 equal to now 27p minus 12. I just brought that 12 down. Now that we have all the p's together, get rid of adding and subtracting. Add 12. Those eliminate. We have 27p equal to 54. And then our very last step, the opposite of multiply, is divide. So we're dividing by 27 on both sides. So P is really 54 divided by 27. 27 goes into 54 exactly 2 times. That would be one I would use my calculator if I wasn't quite sure about. Let's distribute on this one as well. I'm not going to draw a box, but if you need to, go ahead and pause the video and distribute. 5 multiplied by n, just put them next to each other, 5n. 5 multiplied by a negative 3 is a negative 15. Same here, 8 times n is 8n. 6 times 8 is 48, positive. And now we need all of the letters on the same side. We have 5n here and 8n here, so I'm going to move the 5n, subtract 5n. You can't just combine them together because we have this line here. You have to do the same thing on both sides. So we have negative 15 equal to 8 minus 5 is 3n plus 48. And we want n by itself, so get rid of adding and subtracting. I'm going to subtract 48. Those eliminate. Same sign, add and keep. We have a negative 15 and another negative 48. They're all negatives. So if we add those up, we get 63, but they're all negatives. And then last, the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So we're dividing by 3. I know my answer is going to be a negative. 63 divided by 3. This one actually works out nicely. 3 goes into 3 one time, and 3 goes into 60 20 times. So our answer would be 21, negative 21. All right. This one, a little less because we only have to multiply on one side of our equation. 3 times m is 3m. 3 times negative 8 is a negative 24, all equal to negative 5m. So no, this one, it really doesn't matter which set of m's you move, the negative 5 or the 3. To make it one less step, I would move the 3, but if I want to keep everything positive, I would move the 5. So it's up to you. I'm going to move the 3m, subtract 3m. If you want to add the 5, solve it your way, and we'll get the same answer. So a negative 3 and a negative 5, they're all negatives. That's negative 8m equal to a negative 24. Don't forget that negative there. Common mistake. And then the opposite of multiplying right there is divide. So divide by that whole number, negative 8. Divide by negative 8. We have m equal to negative divided by a negative makes a positive. 8 times 3 is 24. Alright, I would like you to try this one on your own, and then click play to see if you got it right. We have letters on both sides. You can move the positive, or move the negative 8 over to the left, or the 15 over to the right. I'm going to move the 15 over to the right, subtract 15y. We do have negatives to deal with, but it's okay, it's one less step, 138. These are all negatives, so we're really adding them all up. Same sign, add and keep when we add and subtract. 15 plus 8 more give us negative 23 y's. And that's really multiplied, so you got to be careful. You got to divide on this one. So I'm really dividing by negative 23 on both sides. So those eliminate, and we just have y. I know a negative divided by a negative is going to be a positive. So I know my answer is a positive, but I have no idea what 138 divided by 23 is. So I would plug that in my calculator. And I would get a positive 6. So my answer is 6. Last 2 questions. Just like the very first page, it looks like a lot. Now, I want to teach you a trick. We did this already before. If you have a number on the outside of the parentheses, you can actually get rid of that. If they're both even numbers and they divide nicely, the opposite of multiplying by 2 here would be dividing by 2. So if I do it to one side, I can do it to the other. 2 over 2 is just 1. And all we have left is 20 plus 7y and negative 2y minus 16. If that was way too confusing for you and you don't want to solve it that way, totally fine. We can just solve it as normal and distribute both. We're just going to have really big numbers, which is fine. 2 times 20 is 40. 2 times 7 is 14y. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. 2 times negative 16, 16 and 16 is 32. So now we have y's on both sides. We have 14 and a negative 4. I'm going to move the negatives. So I'm going to add 4y. Those eliminate. And we have 18y, and this 40 over here, equal to a negative 32. So be careful, we're really subtracting 40 here. Getting rid of our adding and subtracting. We have 18y equal to, these are all negatives, a negative 72. And then last, the opposite of multiply is divide. Again, I have no idea what 72 divided by 18 is, so that's when I would plug in my calculator. I know it's going to be a negative. When I plug it in, I get a negative 4. Last one, we don't need to distribute, but look at all the x's we have. 1, 2, 3. Since these two are on the same side, we can combine them, but it's not 7, 2, and a negative 5. There's more negatives. It's a negative 3x. And then write the rest, plus 8. And now, be careful, we have 3x here and a negative 3x here. I'm going to move the smaller one and add 3x. 3 minus 3 eliminates. These are all positives though, so this really gives us 6x minus 4 equal to 8. We have the x's all together, so I'm going to add 4. Get rid of adding and subtracting. We're undoing our order of operations. 8 plus 4 will give us 12. And then the opposite of multiply is divide. 6 goes into 12 2 times. If you have questions, please let me know. Otherwise, your homework, is right